In this series, we're going to be creating a very basic URL shortening service, but we're going to have a focus on the API of this. So we're going to be generating URLs via an API, not through a web interface. So we'll take a look at how this works. The first thing to note is just on the home page of this site, we just see a bit of text, but obviously you could have anything. Let's take a look at actually generating a URL through the API. So this is what we are going to be building on the back end to be able to handle. So I'm using mp4, which is a REST client for Mac, but you can use other REST clients, so you can have a look around for them. But all I'm doing here is I'm sending a request through to my host, which is just my domain name here, so localhost tutorial shorty public, and I'm sending it through to API generate, so that's our endpoint. Now the body of the request is just a JSON bit of string here, or text or object, with a URL property and then the URL that I want to shorten. If we don't provide a URL, we get errors back, so we're going to be looking at HTTP status codes. We get an error here saying URL is required. If we were to pass in a URL and hit go, what we get back is a 200 OK. We get back the URL that we passed in, and we get a generated URL here, which, because this is the first record, is 1. We'll talk in the series about how we can adjust our auto increment on our table to give us slightly longer URL shortened. But for now, this is just a base encoded number basically from our record just here. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Either way, this has now been generated. So if I copy this URL and I paste it into my browser, that takes me off to the right site. So we're going to be building all of this with the Slim2 framework. We're also going to be using Laravel's database component, so we can use Eloquent to easily access our database. And this is going to be a really fun thing to build, and you can expand on this if you want. So that's what we're going to be building. Let's dive into the next part, where we're going to be looking at what dependencies we need, and then we'll get this system built.